It always starts with a feeling. That quiet gnaw in your gut that whispers something isn't right. You don't catch it at first, not fully. Just a shift in the air, a softness in her voice when she'd say, "I'm meeting a friend for lunch." A softness you only recognize if you've spent years learning someone's edges. And I had. Laura and I had been married for 8 years. 8 years of morning coffees, shared routines, quiet glances across the room that spoke louder than words. Sure, we'd had arguments. Who doesn't? But nothing that ever made me question our foundation. At least, not until that text. It happened by accident. Her phone lit up on the couch beside me. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't even trying to pry. But there it was. Can't stop thinking about today. The message came from a number I didn't recognize. I asked her casually, pretending not to feel the ground shifting under me. She laughed nervously and said, "Oh, that? Just a group chat. You know how girls are." I nodded. Said nothing. But that night, I lay beside her in silence, staring at the ceiling while she slept soundly next to me. I knew something was wrong. Deeply, unmistakably wrong. In the weeks that followed, her lunch outings became more frequent. Her reasons, less clear. And then, one afternoon, she left her phone unattended. I wish I could say I resisted the temptation. I didn't. What I found hit like a punch to the gut. They weren't flirty. They were filthy. Detailed. Intimate. Not just physical either, emotionally soaked, filled with nicknames, shared memories, and future plans. His name was Eric. A colleague, apparently. One she had collaborated with on a project. And judging by the way they spoke to each other, those lunches were anything but professional. The betrayal felt like acid, burning through trust, love, and years of shared history. I wanted to scream. To confront her. To leave. But I did none of that. Instead, I did something I never thought I was capable of. I made a plan. I started with quiet research. A few clicks, a scroll through her connections, and there he was, Eric, the charming sales rep with a polished grin and a double life. He was married too. His wife, Christine, had kind eyes and 2 toddlers. I found her Facebook profile easily. My heart cracked for her, but not enough to stop what I was about to do. Then came the PI, Frank. Tough, silent, and sharp. He brought back exactly what I feared, photos of Laura and Eric leaving a hotel, walking too close, laughing too hard, kissing in her car. I had the proof. Undeniable. Next, I messaged Christine. I kept it simple. "Hi Christine. I know this is difficult, but I believe your husband Eric is having an affair with my wife, Laura. I've attached the photos. I'm truly sorry to share this." Her reply came within the hour. 1 sentence. "Thank you for telling me." That was it. The first domino had fallen, and now the chain was moving fast. But I had one more card left to play, and I needed Laura to see it. I needed her to feel it, the weight of what she'd done. The sharp sting of betrayal, not just its aftermath. So I invited her to lunch. "Let's have a date," I said with a smile that felt like glass in my mouth. "Just the 2 of us. It's been a while." She lit up, relieved. Almost eager. Maybe she thought I was trying to reconnect. Maybe she believed I was still in the dark. But this wasn't a date. It was a reckoning. I set the table with care. A white linen cloth, our best silverware, 2 glasses of wine. To anyone else, it looked like romance. But in the center, instead of flowers, sat a manila envelope, thick, heavy, and filled with everything Frank had uncovered. Photos. Screenshots. Lies captured in still frames. Laura walked in smiling, cheeks flushed, probably from another lunch date. But her expression faltered when she saw the table. Her eyes caught the envelope, then flicked back to me. "What's this?" she asked, her voice already quivering. I didn't answer. I just gestured for her to sit. She hesitated, then obeyed, sinking slowly into her seat. The smile she wore just seconds ago faded like fog in the sun. I slid the envelope toward her. "Open it." Her hands trembled as she reached for it. She flipped it open and began sorting through the evidence. Her face drained of color with every page. I can explain," she stammered, but even she didn't sound convinced. I leaned back, voice low but edged in steel. "Explain what, Laura? That you've been lying to me for months? That you've been sleeping with a married man? That our life, our marriage, was something you could just toss aside when it suited you?" Tears welled in her eyes. "It's not like that," she whispered. "Then what is it like?" My voice rose, sharp and cold. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been having your cake and eating it too." She broke. The tears came fast, and with them a flood of apologies. Hollow ones. Ones that meant nothing now. I let her cry. Let her feel it. When she finally looked up at me, face blotched and swollen with guilt, I delivered the final blow. "I spoke to Christine," I said. Her eyes widened. She gasped. "You, what?" "She knows everything. Just like I do. You didn't just break our marriage, Laura. You tore apart two families." And right on cue, there was a knock at the door. Laura turned sharply, panic etched into every line of her face. I stood and opened it. Christine walked in first, face composed but her eyes burning with fire. And behind her, Eric. Laura went ghostly white. "What is this?" she breathed. "This," I said flatly, "is closure." What followed was chaos. Christine didn't hold back. She unloaded years of betrayal and heartbreak onto Eric, who stood frozen, fumbling for excuses. Laura tried to speak, but Christine turned on her like a storm. "Don't you dare try to justify this," she snarled. "You're a selfish, deceitful," the rest of her words were too sharp for polite ears. Eric finally found his voice, babbling about being unappreciated at home. I laughed, cold, bitter. "Unappreciated? You've got a wife who would walk through fire for you. Two beautiful kids. And you throw it all away for what? Lunch dates and hotel rooms." By the end, the room was heavy with silence and devastation. Laura and Eric sat there like shadows, broken, exposed, and utterly undone. They looked like hollowed-out versions of themselves as they left that day. Christine and I locked eyes, no words needed. Just a shared understanding between two people who'd been betrayed, and survived. The fallout was swift and merciless. Laura packed her things that same evening, her presence vanishing from our home like a bad dream. The next morning, I filed for divorce. Christine did the same. Eric didn't just lose his marriage, he lost his job, too. Christine forwarded the evidence to his employer, and they showed him the door without hesitation. As for Laura, her perfect image shattered. Word of the affair spread through our circle of friends and family like wildfire. No one looked at her the same. Whatever social standing she clung to crumbled under the weight of her choices. But I won't pretend it was easy. There were nights I curled up in bed, unable to sleep, haunted by memories, by questions that would never have answers. Mornings when the weight of grief made getting up feel like lifting mountains. But slowly, the anger burned out, leaving something steadier behind, resolve. I started therapy. Took up running. Reached out to old friends I'd neglected. I forced myself forward, step by painful step, until I didn't have to force it anymore. A year later, I feel more alive than I have in years. I've learned to value myself, not for what I give to others, but for who I am. I've set new boundaries, ones built on truth, respect, and self-worth. And Laura and Eric? From what I've heard, they didn't last. Guilt and shame make terrible foundations for love. Some say revenge is a toxic fuel, but sometimes, it's the fire we need to burn down what's broken and rise from the ashes. And that's exactly what I did.